If you're watching this video on the day that it's uploaded, Wednesday, May 15th, then it's my birthday, which means that you are legally obligated to watch one of my 60 favorite movies today, or else you go to jail. Also, ignore these. These are cookbooks. They're just here to make this boring background more interesting. And I'm gonna make this as fast and sweet as possible, as fast as possible considering there's 60 movies on this list. These are gonna be in alphabetical order, so I'm not picking favorites within my favorites. Well, yes, I am, but alphabetical order. And for some of them, I'm gonna give you a fun little fact so you can better understand my connection to that movie. So here we go. First up is About Time, which is a rom-com with time travel and Rachel McAdams. Enough said. Then Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which is peak Jim Carrey, but also the movie on this list that has aged the most poorly. If you're gonna watch Ace Ventura, you have to ignore a lot of things. Next is Annihilation, sci-fi, kind of portal fantasy, Oscar Isaac. Again, enough said. Then there's Apocalypto, and trigger warning if you can't handle gore, don't watch this. Then there's Arrival, which if you haven't seen Arrival, I don't know where you've been for the last 10 years. Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which is one of the most underrated Disney films of all time. Next up is Balto, and this is where our first fun fact comes in. The fun fact for Balto is that the first crush I ever had in my whole life, the first crush, was on Balto, an animated wolf dog. It was not on a person. It was not even on an animated person. It was on Balto, the animated cartoon wolf dog. Next is Banshees of Inisherin, a movie set in Ireland that is basically, there's pretty much just no plot, just vibes. So you have to be okay with just an all vibes movie. And the vibes are all Irish. Next is Barbarian, which I'm not going to put a whole lot of photos up for because it's a horror movie with a lot of twists and I don't want to ruin anything. But if you like scary movies and you haven't seen Barbarian, please just watch Barbarian. It's wild. The Before trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight, these are some of my favorite movies, even though they kind of make me want to kill myself. But in a cute way. Like a cute... Next is Bruce Almighty, another Jim Carrey classic. Enough said. Cabin in the Woods, another scary movie that I don't want to spoil, so I don't think I'm gonna put many photos up for. This is a fun scary movie though. This is like a comedy horror. Next up is Call Me by Your Name. It's set in Italy in the 80s. The colors are beautiful, the shots are beautiful. It's so horny. Also, it has the best movie dad of all time. Like, of all time. Next up is the best Marvel movie of all time, which is Captain America: Winter Soldier, because we get Bucky Barnes doing his hot little slide thing, doing his, I mean, come on. Bucky Barnes redacted, Winter Soldier redacted. Next is The Day After Tomorrow, which is the choice for you if you want one of the OG apocalypse movies. Something's going on with climate change and New York City gets a tidal wave through it and then everything is frozen and they're stuck in a library. Like, it's perfect. It's a perfect movie. It's a mid movie. It's a perfect mid smiley face movie. Number 16 is Disturbia, which I feel like I don't hear people talk about that much anymore. It's, I feel like, oh no, I can't say anything. I don't want to spoil anything. It's scary. I mean, it's like thriller scary. Watch it. Oh, I'm supposed to be making this fast. I'm not supposed to be saying anything about this. Okay, whoops. Next up is Fern Gully. The reason that I've been attracted to a smog monster for my entire life. And that smog monster is voiced by Tim Curry, which explains just so much. What are you gonna do? Frozen 2, which is 10,000 times better than the first one. And bonus points if you can guess which song. I literally cannot make it through without crying. Bonus points. Next is Gangs of New York. It's not, listen, I put off watching this movie for so long because Gangs of New York sounds like a mafia thing, and if you've been here for the past month, you know that I don't fuck with mafia movies, but it's not that. It's not that. I promise. Just watch it. It's a great movie. Next is George of the Jungle, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Also has one of my favorite songs of all time. Bonus points if you can figure out which one it is. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to explain myself. It's my birthday. I don't need to. Go watch George of the Jungle. Get on my level. Next is Hamilton, which is a play, yes, but now it's recorded and it's on Disney Plus. So whatever. And next is Hereditary, which is one of the best horror films of all time. It's also the single only horror film where one scene has ever left a physical lasting impression on me. There is one scene that fucked me up for a while. Just one scene, not even a scene, it's just one single shot. Eesh. But watch it. Watch it. Get fucked up with me. Next is The Holiday, which is the single best rom-com of all time. And that's not up for debate. It's not a question. The Holiday is the best rom-com that has ever existed. If you haven't seen The Holiday, then I question whether if you're trying to tell me you haven't seen The Holiday, then I'm gonna make you do one of those "Are you a robot? Press all the bridges" things, because I don't think you're f***ing real. Inglourious Bastards. I went to the red carpet premiere of this movie when I was 17, and so now a photo of me is in Harper's Bazaar looking like a whole ass troll standing behind breathtakingly beautiful Diane Kruger. And if I can find the photo, I'll insert it. But that's in print forever. Next is my absolute favorite movie of all time, and no surprises here, it's Interstellar. Interstellar is the best movie of all time, and I have been asked before if I named my dog after the character Murphy, Matthew McConaughey's daughter. No. No, my Murphy was born like a year and a half before this movie came out, which means that Christopher Nolan probably named his character after my dog. Next is Iron Man. The real original Marvel movie, I would say. I don't care about anything that came before it. I don't care about the Incredible Hulk. Iron Man is the first Marvel movie that counts. Next up is Jane, the only documentary on this list. It's Jane Goodall's documentary. I went to the premiere of this at the Hollywood Bowl like 10 years ago, which was awesome, and she was there and she spoke, and I just cried the entire time. I just cried through the whole documentary, and then I cried through her speech, and then I probably cried on the car ride home. It's a documentary by Jane Goodall about her life and her conservation work. Next is Kong Skull Island. I don't care if it's not a good movie. I don't care if it's not critically acclaimed. I don't care if it's, I don't care. I don't care. It's fun. It has a jungle setting, which I clearly, based on the rest of this list, I can't resist a jungle desert adventure setting. And it's full of hot people. I see nothing wrong here. Kong Skull Island. Next is Lake Placid, which is a movie that maybe none of you have heard of. This is a movie that my dad and I watched together when I was a kid 40,000 times. And so it holds such a special place in my heart because I've seen it so many times, and it's me and my dad's inside joke. Next is The Land Before Time, the OG, the original. Listen, there are some good sequels. There are. I'm talking about the first one. The first Land Before Time is nitty gritty, it's dangerous, it's heartbreaking. All the sequels become very cartoony and very childlike. So Land Before Time. And then we have Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. And if you try and tell me that you didn't want to fuck that lion, you are lying to me, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to Jesus. Well, why make Kovu so sexy? What? That's suspicious. That's weird. Yeah, it's weird. Next is Mad Max. Speaking of sexy movies, I mean Mad Max Fury Road. I'm not talking about I haven't seen the original. Mad Max Fury Road has Charlize Theron. It has Tom Hardy. Redacted. Next is Midnight in Paris, which is one I actually haven't seen in like 10 or 12 years, but I remember loving it so much, and I don't know why I haven't rewatched it, but I loved it so much that it's going on this list. Oh, you know what? It's Portal Fantasy. It's Portal Fantasy. This makes sense. This makes total sense. Next is Mighty Joe Young, which is continuing a few threads. It's continuing the Charlize Theron thread. It's continuing the ape or ape adjacent creature in the jungle thread. It's following big ape causes trouble. No, big ape wants to live in peace and humans cause trouble thread. I don't know if anyone has heard of Mighty Joe Young. This kind of felt like a fever dream that I made up in my childhood, but I promise it's real, and it's not good. It's not a good movie. But it's such a good movie. Next is Moana. Obvious reasons. I don't think I need to say a single thing about Moana. It's the best. Moana. Monty Python and the Holy Grail has been one of my favorite movies since I was, I don't know, 3? I don't even know how old I was the first time I saw Monty Python. I think it's the single most quotable movie that's ever existed. I don't trust you if you don't like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, I just don't trust you as a person if you don't like this movie. So why don't you go watch it and report back, and if you don't like it, I'll block you. All right, thanks. Next up is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Bonus points if you can guess what kind of crisis this movie caused within me and then resolved within me real fast. Some easy bonus points. This feels like an easy one. What kind of crisis? Next is The Mummy, which follows the thread of me being a f***ing simp for Brendan Fraser. I would follow Brendan Fraser into the dark. National Treasure. Listen. National Treasure is an all-time greatest movie. It's a perfect movie. If you are one of those anti-Nick Cage people, I don't want to hear it, but also let me know, again, so I can block you. This is what my birthday's about. It's just gonna be blocking people who have shitty opinions on things like Nicolas Cage and whatever the fuck else I was talking about. I don't remember what I was talking about before. Next is P.S. I Love You. And I know that I said The Holiday is the best rom-com of all time, and that holds true, because P.S. I Love You, I wouldn't necessarily call it a rom-com first. It's more just romance with like a little bit of funny haha here and there. It's another movie set in Ireland. It's got Gerard Butler being young and hot and singing, and it has Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Negan himself, young and hot pretending to be Irish and singing. I don't know that I've ever wanted to trade places with someone more... Oh no, that's not right. That's not right. I don't want to go through what she went through. No. Not Hilary Swank's character. I don't know that I've ever wanted to trade places more with a person than Hilary Swank, the actress, as she was filming this movie. Next up is Pan's Labyrinth. I don't even know what to say about this. There's creatures. It's Portal Fantasy for sure. It's all in Spanish, which is fine. Don't be afraid of foreign movies. Don't be afraid of movies that aren't in English. Watch them. Watch some of the most amazing movies in the world come from non-English speaking countries. Don't let that stop you. You are limiting yourself if you let that stop you. And Pan's Labyrinth is a perfect example of that. Pan's Labyrinth is a god tier movie. It is a perfect movie, and it's creepy. It's weird, it's strange, and it's perfect. And it's in Spanish. Get the fuck over it. Turn on your you have your subtitles on anyways. 90% of you have your subtitles on anyways. Keep them on. Watch the movie. Oh, next up is Phantom of the Opera, which is one of the 2 most influential movies of my entire life. I have a Phantom of the Opera tattoo. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I use it to quiz people when I meet them in real life. I'm like the equivalent of those guys who point out your band shirt and I'm like, oh, really? Name 3 Iron Maiden songs. But I do that with Phantom of the Opera. I guess I'm just a boy. Sorry about it. Anyway, Phantom of the Opera is one of the most influential movies of my life. It's also the reason that I am so attracted to toxic relationships in movies. But like, how do you watch past the point of no return, and then you go back to your real life and you accept, you know, Steve the accountant, Corey the veterinarian. No, veterinarian would be that would be great. Corey, what does Corey do? Corey the hedge fund manager. That's not romantic. You know what's romantic? A man who is mostly myth, who lives in the basement of your opera house and would kill and die for you. That's enough about Phantom of the Opera. I don't know how many minutes it's been. Next is Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean. I'll give you a hint. If you remember what I was saying about Mr. and Mrs. Smith and the crisis that it caused, Pirates of the Caribbean caused the same crisis 15 years earlier, but I was too young to understand fully the crisis that was blooming. Pirates of the Caribbean is an all-time classic. All-time classic. It is one of the 2 movies that I have the whole script in my head. If you don't want to watch a new movie, I know you've seen this movie, watch this one today. And this is a reminder, you legally have to watch one of the movies from this list today, or else you go to prison. I'm trying to help you here. Next up is Pirates of the Caribbean 3. I like the second one, I do. I just don't, it's not as much. The first one and the third one are all-timers. God, so good. Next, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is the other one of the 2 or 3 most influential movies of my entire life. This movie has such a particular place in my heart, in my brain, in my soul. If you've never been to a midnight showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show, where you dress like a slut and throw toast at the screen, then you're not living your life properly, and I feel sorry for you. This is maybe the most important movie to my soul, like to deep within my body. Rocky Horror Picture Show is like wallpapering the inside of my organs. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? All right. Next up is Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version with baby Leo. My God. This movie is just the most aesthetically pleasing movie I've ever seen. Your eyeballs can't be unhappy while you're watching this film. I mean, if you haven't seen Romeo and Juliet, I'm begging you. I need you to go watch it immediately. Watch that one today. You're not going to regret it. It's Shakespeare's play, but set in like 1980s crime-ridden Florida. God, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Next up is Saltburn for inspiring the redacted joke on this channel, even though it's not a joke at all. Jacob Elordi's eyebrow piercing feels personal. I already had a Barry Keoghan obsession going on. He was getting drilled into my brain, but this movie really made it worse. It was already there, honestly, mostly from Eternals. He buried into my brain in Eternals. But this, God, Saltburn just takes it way far. Next is Shrek 2, which is arguably better than the first. Don't try and argue with it. It's better than the first one. Fairy Godmother, her song. Come on. Then we have Snowpiercer, one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. There you go. Are you coming? Oh, hi. You wanna come? Okay. All right, here we go. You okay now? Anyway, Snowpiercer is one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. It's Chris Evans. I think before Chris Evans was like a household name. People were on this train that goes around the world, and then a nuclear winter hit, and they, please don't do that. Nuclear winter hit, and they were all stuck on the train, and now they're stuck on the train for eternity. It's a great movie. Next up is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, and this is kind of like the Lion King 2 thing. They didn't have to make Spirit so hot. Spirit was hot. Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron has the award in my head for hardest soundtrack of all time. It's Bryan Adams and his raspy little voice. It just makes the movie seem so much more badass. Next is Sweeney Todd. Hi, Murphy. Good. Okay, everyone wants to be in this video. Everyone wants to be here. Okay. Next is Sweeney Todd, which is one of the best Broadway to movie adaptations of all time. That's nice. Sweeney Todd. Part 2 of the hardest soundtracks of all time is Tarzan, the OG Disney. Oh, you want to go down? The OG Disney cartoon Tarzan. Phil Collins did not need to do what he did on that soundtrack. He didn't, but he did, and it made it insane. Number 53. We're on 53 now. It's Titanic, but only the first half. So if you want to choose this one as the movie that you're legally obligated to watch, you only have to watch the first half. Once the boat starts sinking, I don't care. I just want to watch them run around and be hot and young and, you know, in the car and be super horny for each other. That's the only part I'm interested in. So, first half of Titanic. Next is Tombstone, which I only watched for the first time on my birthday, I think, 2 years ago. I immediately fell in love with Doc Holliday, and Doc Holliday is one of my favorite characters I've ever seen. One of my favorite characters of all time, and I love him so much. Next up is the single most underrated Disney movie of all time, which is Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet is one of the best Disney films of all time. No one talks about it. God, it's so good. And if you watch it and you don't fall in love with Jim Hawkins, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but you will, so don't worry. It's space pirates, it's portal fantasy. Oh my god, I'm so predictable. We're in the last few. We have The Truman Show. This one feels self-explanatory. It's Jim Carrey at his peak, but in a dramatic role. One of the best movies ever. 57, you knew it was coming. Twilight. If you really want to do me justice on my birthday, you're gonna watch Twilight. Number 1. I will never feel as intimately about a movie as I do with this one. I will watch Twilight once a month for the rest of my life and be totally fine with that. Number 2, this is part 3 of the hardest soundtracks of all time. Twilight, even if you hate Twilight, even if you're one of those people, you can't deny that it has one of the best soundtracks of all time. And third, I am unconditionally and irrevocably in love with this movie. Sorry. Number 58 is The Village. I watched this movie for the first time on a Disney cruise ship when I was 11. Then we got stuck in a hurricane and we were locked on the Disney cruise for an extra week with 24/7 ship soft serve ice cream machines. And then we finally got home and I was immediately told that my parents were getting a divorce. So that's the connotations that I have with The Village by M. Night Shyamalan are Disney cruise, hurricane, ice cream, divorce. Next up is Wanted. Also couldn't really tell you if this is an actual good movie or if I just love it too much. It's James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie, and it's one of the ones it's like Fight Club, kind of. There's a secret society. He gets brought into the secret society. He can bend it like Beckham, but with a bullet. It's just cool. It's just cool, and it's fun. Let me know if this is actually a good movie, or if this is a me thing. Number 60, the best horror film of all time, The Witch. The number 1 horror film of all time. This is such a beautiful movie. This is the first time I ever saw Anya Taylor-Joy, and she kills it. I don't even know how many times I've seen this movie, but I can't explain how much I love The Witch, or The Vavitch, depending on where you're looking. And then actually I have a secret number 61 because I think it's one of my favorite movies, but I've only seen it once and it's been so long. So I can't be positive, but I wanted to include it just in case I rewatched it, realized it is as good as I remember, and then I regret leaving it off. So the secret number 61 is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And so that's it. That's all. That's it. It's my birthday on the day you're watching this. That's it. I'm considering all of you guys my birthday present to myself. I could not be happier with what's going on with this channel. I feel like we're creating this great little space to talk about all this stuff and also to just ramble about nonsense, which is amazing and all that I really could want. So, friendly reminder, because it's my birthday, according to the legal justice system, you have to watch one of the 61 movies I just spoke about. Otherwise, you go to prison, you never get out, you're in a lot of trouble, your whole family's in trouble, and I just, as your friend, I want to help you. So choose one of these movies and watch it, and then report back. Let me know that you've watched it so I can tell the justice system that you have done it. That's all. I'm gonna go pack now so I can drive 18 more hours. Oh, I'm about to run out of space on my camera. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. So much, especially on my birthday. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, if you're gonna watch one of these movies, I love you. Thank you for being here, and I hope I see you very, very, very soon. Bye. Egg! Egg! Am I in focus? Nexties. I can't watch this movie in the presence of other people. Man, it's another lisp coming out strong. The original Tarzan cartoon. Why are you so sleepy? Let me know down below. What am I? I'm not gonna put any of this into the video. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't know, it's my birthday. I don't have to talk about anything real. I can do whatever I want. It's my birthday. I'm an old bitch.